I thought I was done. I thought I was out of the after show business, but NXT and the fans keeps pulling me back in. You know what it is? It's now time for the premiere episode of Draped in Gold.
Hey, I am so glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Flobo. Draped in gold. Who'd have thought you and I back at it talking about NXT? I got to admit, I'm a little jealous of this really cool logo setup you got, the cool intro you got. I'm loving it, Flobo.
You know what, Jack Farmer? Thanks so much for being on the show. I know you're doing a lead of the week, and I was jealous, but the good jealous. So now, on the Wednesday Night Delight, we decided we have a bit of a truce. There's no wars happening. We're going to have a little bit of a Thursday look at NXT UK as well, kind of like a NXT Universe send-off, because that's why you can have Wednesdays, that poo-poo, that less than a superior day now. You know what I'm saying? It's all good.
I think it's great because this does allow you the opportunity to bring in NXT UK, which is criminally overlooked as a talented set of
By
people.
you. Yeah, by
I
you.
know they don't have I know that they're not doing anything right now, but every time someone comes over from NXT UK, whether it be Toni Storm, who's on your shirt, whether it be Rhea Ripley or this what was his name, Ridge Holland, man, every time someone comes over, I'm just like, who is this person? This person's got star written all over him. So it's very cool to see that we're doing this. I'm excited to be a part of it. I appreciate you having me. Good times ahead. Buckle up, as some would say.
It's just you. You're the only one that says
I'm the one that
that.
says buckle up.
Yeah, I thought I was enjoying my after show retirement, and then it's no longer the case. But it's cool because I watch NXT anyway, and I get the live snark. But let's talk about it. Last night, Performance Center, WWE. You know what I'm saying? That's where all the shows are happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how you make it different, but they do try. Off the rip, we already knew. Rip, that's fun. We already knew that the whole dynamics of the women's division is going to change a bit, right? So we got Io Shirai on top. She's kind of a face now, or she's not full-on face now. Rhea Ripley is in the background trying to get back her spot, but she had a match against Dakota Kai, which lends itself to a lot of questions, namely Mercedes Martinez and her involvement. Thoughts about the match first, bro, because there's a lot to unpack here.
The first thing that I thought of when I was watching this match is something about Rhea Ripley has cooled down so hard since her original debut in NXT. She came in just like a storm coming. I shouldn't say storm. I guess there's already a storm in wrestling, but just coming through like a freight train. Came in, started bullying. Shayna Baszler was bullying people on the main roster. And now I feel like she's lost a little bit of that edge. She doesn't have that unstoppable force feel anymore. And even to her presentation before, she felt very real, very gritty. That felt like you just had this raw, scary person. And now she looks a little pro wrestler to me with the blues and the bleached hair. And it's a cool look. But for some reason, it feels like this is a produced copy of what we got last year when she debuted. Am I crazy?
I think you're crazy because remember last year you said if she proposed to you, you would say yes. And
Yeah.
now it's just whatever. Is it really the look that's the most damning part of that? Or is it because of the time off? Is it the injury thing? Is it losing the championship to Charlotte Flair? Why is Rhea not hitting, not slapping, as the kids say?
I think it's just a combination of everything. I don't know if maybe she came in too hard and now it's like, what do you do if you aren't going to be the champion? And what do you do with her? And I think maybe she's stuck with that a little bit. I feel like she came in as almost, I don't want to compare to like the indie darlings, you know, the people who are real and then get overproduced and become like the blockbuster movie instead of being the independent film. It feels like she's become more Michael Bay than Steven Spielberg, as you could say if you watch the
Look,
Everything
man,
tournament.
Michael Bay was robbed.
It's just, I think she just feels too produced. It doesn't feel like she's real anymore. It feels like she's playing the role of a pro wrestler instead of being this just gritty, terrifying monster of the women's division that she was when she first showed up. And I'm not saying she can't turn it around. Maybe I'm just, like I said, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But she just had something, this raw power that was behind her when she first showed up. And now it feels like I said, she's just too produced, too color matching and designed instead of just being a all in black leather clad bad A that's going to beat you up.
Did you say bad A?
I don't know if we're trying to keep explicit tags off of your show.
I appreciate that. That was very funny. Appreciate it, Tim. But it looks like, as you would say about other professional wrestlers on the NXT brand, that maybe she's out there helping people get over. Namely, Mercedes Martinez gets involved in the matchup, looking like she's in the female Damian Priest spot, causing Rhea Ripley the victory there. Mercedes Martinez, Robert Stone brand, they on the rise or... Nah.
I'm a big fan of the Robert Stone brand, and I actually love what's happening. I didn't like when he was a bit of a joke. I didn't like when he was getting run over by tanks. I mean, I like the story.
That was the best part. What are you talking about? It was
funny, but I like him in his suits. I like him being the brand, and I like this team he's putting together. Mercedes, by the way, her and Rhea, when they have a match, it's going to be a slapper because those two are just rough and tumble types of fighters. And so that I'm going to love to see. But Mercedes, I think she's showing that she has real star potential. And I don't know if this is going to be the first of many big fights for her or what the situation is, but she is living up to every expectation you could have of her.
So let me ask you this, man. If you're the phantom booker, right? Let's say you got the NXT roster and it's your job to put in the best possible show. Is Mercedes Martinez in the right spot? I mean, here's somebody who's physically larger, very, very experienced as a veteran, but being tied to the Robert Stone brand, who currently only has Aaliyah as a stablemate. You can make the argument she doesn't need the brand to get herself over, but she's with them too. Is this the right call for Mercedes?
See, you've said something that I don't like people saying, and they say it all the time. They talk about what people need in pro wrestling. You don't always need things. Sometimes you just want them. Sometimes it's nice to have. And I think it's nice for her to have someone like Robert Stone who can get on a microphone, cut some promos, help manage the day-to-day that Mercedes doesn't want to handle, and let her just go to the ring and beat people up. I would personally like to see her take on a few smaller opponents. Let us see her as that unstoppable force before going against a Rhea Ripley. I don't know why people always like to see the two big, strong, tough people at it right away. Let me think about it for a little bit. Let me dream about it for a little bit. Let me think, man, what would happen if they got in the ring together for a little bit first? I wish we could see Mercedes beating up some little people for a little bit before we get into this big, big match. I mean, the big match is going to be fun. But let me daydream about it for a little bit first.
Let me think
take
about
me
it?
out to dinner first. You know.
Old-fashioned farm. So because let me get this. So someone's like, you're in the parking lot, you're in the bar, and someone's like, hey, bro, you want to go? Let me think about it. Sometimes you want.
Someone's like, hey, Jack, you want to fight? I'm like, hey, let me see you fight some other people first.
I apologize. I ran right into that one. Before we move on to our next matchup, Jack Farmer, tell the world what's the best beverage on the planet.
Oh, thank you for asking and mentioning it. I am always looking for a way to get a little bit more energy, get a little bit more punch in my step, and the best way to do that is with a cup of Broasters coffee, which you can get at www.thebroasters.com. Now, I know what you're asking, like, Jack, coffee is coffee is coffee. It doesn't matter if it comes in a tub from the supermarket. Why should I go to Broasters? Well, look, all of their beans, they're single batch. They're roasted weekly, so they're fresh. They're not just mass-produced. They're all from a single origin. There's no blends. There's no fillers. You notice I don't say there's a blend. I always say it's a roast because they're specialty-grade, highest-quality beans, and you can only get them from www.thebroasters.com. And when you're there, make sure to use promo code BROCODE1 to get a discount and a little bit of swag sent your way as well. Plus, it helps support shows like us, which is just doing a nice thing. So do yourself a favor. Go to www.thebroasters.com, BROCODE1 in the promo code, and get yourself some of the best coffee you're ever going to drink.
NXT is no longer the same since Keith Lee so graciously got rid of the North American title off his way, so we got a series of triple threat matches with the winner going to NXT TakeOver 30. Damian Priest, Owen Lorcan, and Rich Holland get together in a matchup that I have questions upon questions. Before I even do this, offline today, Jack and I were talking about the prospect of Keith Lee opting not to be a champ. Why does it tickle your throat? Why does it grind your gears, good sir? I need to know this.
I've never heard the phrase "tickle your throat." I've heard "grind your gears," but "tickle your throat's" a new one to me. I appreciate new phrases; they're always fun. I don't like the idea of. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make him seem like a gracious champion and a good guy, but I don't like the idea of NXT continually reminding us and praising someone for dropping a title.
He's a good guy.
It feels like a bad move. Like you should be talking about how, like, man, he didn't want to give it up because it was important to him. But the competition is so tight in NXT, there was no way he could have defended both. I think that makes it feel better than just going, I had two. This other one's so much better. Here, you guys, fight over this yourselves.
See, I disagree. I think it's because of not him. It's just wrestling around it. How would that look if like Bayley and Sasha could have 4 championships between them, or 3, and William being like, "Excuse me, black man, you have to give one of those." Keith Lee has to give it up voluntarily. I mean, I'm sorry.
I don't know if the black man is fair to say. I mean, it's not like Sasha and Bayley are 2 white people.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
Don't make it weird for me, Flobo.
That's my job.
Listen, I get what you're saying, and that's all fair. I don't like the idea of praising someone for dropping a title, especially one that we're supposed to believe that he fought so hard for, so long for, to finally get, and to have him just go, you know what? You guys have this. It feels almost condescending to the North American division to be like, I've got the world title now. You guys have your little triple threat matches. It's fine. Now, don't get me wrong. I like where it led us. I like having these triple threat matches. I like the idea that it's going to go to a ladder match. I like what we're getting. I wish they made it sound less like he was this gracious guy giving it to these people because they are not good enough to go after the world title, and make it feel more like a painful thing that he had to do against, like, he's giving up something he loves. Like, that's not, you shouldn't just be like, oh yeah, this is for you guys.
You know what? I was going to say, what's the big deal? Because it's a North American title. I was going to disagree with you. But Nostalgia Flobo stopped me and said, remember back in 1999 when Jeff Jarrett beat D'Lo by cheating at SummerSlam 99 and he gave Mark Henry the European title? The European title deserved more, dang it. So I totally get it now. I totally understand, Jack. Just put it the ways I can understand. That's what we call consensus. I love it.
I gotta put everything into terms of the European Championship for us to have it.
See, exactly. That makes sense to me.
Even if it's not a fair comparison, we'll be
right. Lance Storm's the European champion of wrestling. Oh,
yeah.
Top 3. But let's talk about this match. Damian Priest beats Oney Lorcan, which is to be expected. But Ridge Holland, here's someone from the NXT UK, which for some reason, I hate the fact he wears short tights for some reason. But former rugby star in the match, makes his debut, but wisely gets out of the ring, not involved in the decision. Is this the right way to debut a brand new person from across the pond? Or am I just off my rocker being like, what was the point of that?
I know what's wrong with his tights. It says he's not wearing knee pads. We need to sign petitions or something to get wrestlers to wear knee pads. Listen, fellas, you're not going to be young forever, and your knees are going to be something you're going to wish you protected just a little bit more. Hey, yeah, I would love to be on Late Night with Flobito, by the way. One of these days, I'll get that guy to shoot me an invite. I feel like my whole career has been leeching off of you, Flobo. Why stop now?
Hey, get some coffee? It's a mutual thing. Yeah.
But I thought that I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but he felt like a star. He felt like, you know what, man, sometimes I reach. Sometimes I get into the hyperbole of things, but when he came out, I don't know what it was, but I was getting Goldberg vibes. I was getting that, like, I don't need to hear him on the microphone. I don't know what he's like as a character, but he just had that presence to him, right? He's big. He looks the part. He acts the part. He just gave me that, like, I could see this guy running through people and believing it and wanting it. And I was a huge fan of him. I was actually going to ask you your thoughts on him not winning this match, because it does seem like a weird thing to do to have as a debuting person. But obviously, he didn't take the pin. He's never been pinned, never been submitted, per Tom Phillips.
Who has like 2 characters twice a week. I love it.
Yeah, it's always weird. They do that on AEW too with Taz, so it's fair. But this was a fun match to me. It was a great. This match to me reminded me of WWE ECW. It was kind of like some lost toys all having a match together.
True.
I thought everyone looked good. Again, the story for me though, Ridge Holland. I'm watching this guy. I want to see what he does next. I thought him and Lorcan like duking it out was great because Lorcan. He is such a good key piece to that division and that company.
No one noticed that. No one will give him the credit for it, though.
No, they won't. But he's someone that it doesn't matter what his win-loss record looks like. He always comes across as a tough win every time. Even if like I said, I don't know the last time he got a clean win, but anytime you beat him, it's like, ooh, wow, you got one over on Lorcan. That's a tough guy to beat.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. Plus, he was trained by Lance Storm, so he's got a shoe in into my top 10.
Okay. Well, it's the European champion. No, I'm just kidding.
The European champion of wrestlers.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of a fair comparison.
I like Ridge. I like his gimmick. It has a very like Victorian England, like here's my Bobby Club. Still think he should wear long pants. But what I don't understand is why would you hold him back to bring him in now unless you're like that short of personnel? You know what I mean? I'll even throw in like a Joaquin Wilde if you need that person that much. I would have held Ridge to have a one-on-one debut so you can get his whole backstory over. Like he's a former rugby player. I'm not sure if that's part of his character, but he has this like, he's a couples kind of vibe about him, which I really like. But yeah, Damian Priest is going on, but he got some into a tussle in the parking lot later on with thick boy Bronson Reed, which I'm a huge Bronson Reed fan. But it looks like they're on a collision course next week on NXT. Thoughts about that match real quick?
The match with Bronson and Shane from today, or the match next week?
The match with Bronson and Damian for next week.
I think it's interesting because it feels like they're both at about the same level right now, but they're going in different directions, doesn't it?
Right.
Like Damian Priest came in hot with his character, like his the way they were presenting him in his video packages, and it seems like he's been kind of slowly tumbling down. While Bronson Reed, he came in, he did not win the breakout tournament, and he was kind of down here, but he's been slowly rising up the ranks. This was an interesting backstage segment for me because Damian Priest didn't come across as quite the jerk he always seems to be. Now, he wasn't super nice,
right,
but backstage he wasn't doing this whole, like, I'm the Archer of Infamy. He was just kind of like,
thank goodness.
Man. Yeah, I liked it. He seemed like a real person. He seemed like a cool dude, and I like that a lot better than, the whole,
I'm a vampire with two dames.
I'm going to live forever. It was cool. It was cool. I like their meeting. I think it made me want to see them fight. I like seeing Bronson. Be like kind of standing up for himself, but also like, hey man, like we're all wrestlers here. I'm becoming quite a thick fan of him, I would say.
You know what? I'll allow it because he's dope. But you did mention that Bronson Reed did beat Shane Thorne, which is interesting to me because he kind of went back to his pre-tag team gimmick with the Pete Dunne vest woolly thing. But the match wasn't much to write home about. Was to get Bronson over. He got some hype. Got to give Bronson Reed some height about that. But talking about big boys, Keith Lee had a match against Cameron Grimes, which perplexed me, man. This Cameron Grimes-Keith Lee match was a giant question mark for me and a night of question marks because on one hand, you want Keith Lee to get some momentum. He saw Dijak, as he said last week, the week before that, got into a thing with Karrion Kross. So I understand having an emphatic win. I understand Cameron Grimes being that guy you can sell to make these big moves happen. But it did kind of seem that Cameron Grimes was in a position to be the terror of the mid-card. It just felt kind of weird all around. I felt like there should have been a little bit more of a fallout, but we didn't get that.
I thought this was a great match.
You know what, Jack? You're fired.
This is one of my favorite performances I've seen from Cameron Grimes in some time. He does such a good job of getting under people's skin, I
like him.
He's so good at not being obviously annoying, but being kind of annoying. And I liked how this match it felt like it was a good back and forth match, but it also didn't feel like a lot of matches like these where Keith Lee just sort of takes offense for half the fight and then suddenly hulks up, for lack of a better term, and gets the win at the end. A lot of times you see that, but this felt like a real good match. It felt like a very close contest. I thought both guys came out looking good. Keith Lee's still looking like an unstoppable force. Cameron Grimes looking like he's got some spunk to him. He's got some fight to him.
Savage.
But man, I think Keith Lee's got the best moveset in wrestling right now. Does he not? Like, is it even close? I mean, I was just thinking today, he won with a Spirit Bomb, which is such a cool move. But he also has the, what does he call the Calamity or something?
The Flashbang Catastrophe? Or
Flashbang Catastrophe. I'm not a fan of the name.
I had to go look it up. It's something Catastrophe.
But he, it's the attitude adjustment into the jackhammer is such a cool
You just
move.
love jackhammers, though. You're a jackhammer mark.
I love jackhammers. I
Jack's
love
hammers.
Jack's hammer. And but he's also got like the pounce. He's got that double hand slap on the chest. I can already tell when WWE 2K21 or whatever, 22, whenever the next one comes out.
Who knows what it's going to be?
He's going to be the first one I play as. That's going to be the guy I play as. That's the moveset. That's the guy that's going to be fun to play.
You can download him now for $19.
Is he available?
It's a community creation. Big Bang Catastrophe, not Flashbang.
So the Big Bang Catastrophe isn't in there then yet.
Yeah.
What they give him in community creations? They probably give him an attitude adjustment, huh?
No, it's probably a Spirit Bomb, I would assume.
Yeah, but he's got to have something in there similar to the.
Man, I didn't play as. I'm just saying it's there.
Dear community creations,
get better because I can't do it myself. Let's moving on. We got Tegan Nox against Indy Hartwell, aka Impressive Indy Hartwell. There's someone I've been trying to watch on the stables here on the depth chart at the women's division. Indy Hartwell and to a lesser extent Jessica May and Kaden Carter. Those are ones I think can break out. Mm-hmm. Indy did pretty well last week, not so much today yesterday, with Tegan Nox rolling and rolling and rolling. I don't quite think Tegan is a thing. We talked about this before, but I don't want to be the negative Nancy on this show. But I want to say I like the match. Jack, what do you think?
I think both of these two have something. They have something, right? And I think that's why we see Tegan Nox rolling. I think that's why Indy Hartwell is getting time on TV. Tegan Nox, to me, she's very lovable, which is good. And I think she's good in the ring, but I think what she's missing, and this is what happens to a lot of people, there's something that's just not like hooking in. Like there's not like an emotional connection to why I want to see her win.
Right.
And that's what we need. Something that makes me go, I want her to win. Not just I like it when she's on TV. Not that I like her matches, but something that says I want to pull for her. I'm actually a fan of her and want her to win. And I think she's going to need someone that can help bring that out of her in a rivalry that is more than just a match. That's the question. Indy Hartwell is also great. I think there's something there. I thought it was a little weird that she was so excited about beating Shotzi Blackheart at the beginning of the match.
Well, she was the flavor of the month. I can't knock her for that.
I mean, she beat someone who's been growing, but it's not like Shotzi Blackheart is Io Shirai or anything at this point. I mean, she may be someday, but like it's still a little early. It's like if you're playing football and you intercept a rookie quarterback. Like,
I beat the Browns.
Yeah, like someday may be a big deal, but come on, that seems a bit silly. But I guess if you're in Indy Hartwell's spot, if I had as many matches as her on NXT, I'd be bragging about any wins I got as well. So
yeah, it's a very heel move to do, right?
It also, I guess, reminds her that she's not just someone who's out there for the first time. So, hey, it wasn't a bad thing. Again, but she's also someone who I need a reason to care at this point. I need something that makes me go, okay, you're more than just talented. Because as we've said a million times, everyone in NXT is talented.
Most people.
Everyone is good.
Majority.
What makes you? Who's not good?
I mean, I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put me on the spot. It's my show. Stop. Everyone's talented. I think you're right. I don't know, man. I felt like in this match particularly, Tegan is working more like a heel, man. She's supposed to be the good girl or good guy, good woman. I feel weird saying good girl. She's supposed to be the good woman, and
that's why I didn't say a bad butt earlier.
Yeah. Bad A. It's just weird to me. Like I feel like I should be on board. I've talked about this before on the other network about having a character versus dressing up as one, and I do feel like she just went full deep with her Nova core. the Captain Marvel, which is great, but you can't associate yourself with something else. Like, we call Cesaro the Swiss Superman, but if you came out in tights with the S on his chest, you'd be like, lame!
Yeah.
What are you doing, Claudio?
That's a fantastic analogy because whenever we call him the Swiss Superman, I don't actually think of Superman. I just think it sounds fun, and you get the idea that he's amazing. But I don't actually get the vision of him with a cape on and blue tights, like flying around or anything. But
Right.
yeah, it's a
Pulling all the
very
dames.
it's a very dangerous thing to do something like that where you compare yourself so close to another character in media somewhere. I mean, MVP does it with like Black Panther and the Punisher, but MVP has put together quite a career before doing that. He wasn't doing that back when he was first getting going on WWE.
It's also
either.
rotation too. Like, I mean, here's another example in the women's division when Alexa Bliss was doing her Harley Quinn stuff with the two different tone pigtails. It was kind of like, okay, she already established her character, and that was an extension of that. But we don't know what that is. But you're coming out with a bomber jacket like you're flying a plane, and the Novacore logo. It's like,
Yeah, that's the thing is I think we need something to kind of tie her to understand what she is. If she was, let's say the Robert Stone brand recruited more people, and now she was the one standing up against this big team of Robert Stone brand people, then you'd be like, oh, I get it. She's kind of fighting for the rights of the women's division against Robert Stone brand who's trying to take it over or whatever. But as it is now, it's why do I see you as a superhero? You're doing your job, right? Wrestling matches and winning is your job. So like that's not,
get to work, Superman.
yeah, you don't get like credit for otherwise they're all heroes. Indy Hartwell was a hero,
He was.
So there needs to be something that makes me go, I am invested in you particularly, and I think that's just what she's missing. Like, what is that thing? And I think that's where she needs to find that rival that really stands out. And I know a lot of people who hear this may think, oh, well, what about Dakota Kai? She had that rivalry. That was like a breakup rivalry. I don't think that really counts, you know? I don't think a lot of people say Shawn Michaels really blew up when he, kicked. I mean, well, he did blow up when he kicked Marty Jannetty. But it wasn't the rivalry with Marty Jannetty that made him great. It was everything afterwards.
Yeah. Marty Jannetty, am I right? What a week.
Ooh,
what a week.
let's talk all about that.
If only it was a Wrestling with a Question show we could talk about.
I don't want to touch that.
Speaking about not getting touched, man, our main event last night was Imperium defending the NXT Tag Team Championships against the Undisputed Era, which on paper I thought was going to be a title change because we hadn't seen much of Imperium. But, okay, well, Pat McAfee, WWE friend of the family, it looks like, and host of his own show, had a bit of a dust-up with Adam Cole a couple of weeks ago on his show. Turns out everything was worked out. Pat was ringside and somehow, I don't know, do I curse now? Ticked off 1.5 announcers, but got involved in the matchup, distracting Adam Cole, calling him small, having a giant dust-up, costing the Undisputed Era the win. And what happened next was blasphemous, Jack. Why is Pat McAfee in the main event of NXT? Talk to me.
It seems odd, doesn't it? It seems very anti-NXT and what NXT does and what NXT stands for. If it's okay, I'd like to rewind, though. I want to talk about Imperium. My boys in Imperium.
Oh, they're boys now?
Love Imperium.
You're in the circle. I don't know.
They are so cool. The way they look, the way they act. I'm going to say something that might be controversial, Flobo. I'm going to say something, especially as a quote-unquote guy that follows AEW. I think Imperium is everything no flips, all fists is supposed to be. I think they are what that whole movement is supposed to be about.
Europeans do better, yeah.
They are exactly what you're looking for because they're still entertaining. They don't like beat you in the face with it, but that's what they are, and they're so good. They have this very Empire look, from Star Wars. It feels like they would be like if Star Wars was in wrestling, they would be the Empire, and of course Walter would be the Darth Vader. And I love them. They're so cool. I still want to see them expand and add more people. But something interesting happened with this. Now that Undisputed Era is back, is it just me or were they not seeming as bad of guys as they used to? Like
You're thinking face turn.
I'm thinking, I felt like I liked them. Like I liked it. Like they were They seem like good. Like I was like, yeah, they're back. Come on, you can do it. You can take on this evil empire. And man, Kyle O'Reilly, he's getting ready to be a star. Did he not get yoked up a little bit? And he's growing out the beard and the hair. I don't know if they were like telling him like, dude, take this time off and get ready for a singles push, because he looks like he is getting ready to stand out on his own.
Yeah, it does seem that way. It does seem two things, that Kyle O'Reilly is making up. There's rumors swirling that there may be a schism within Undisputed Era with Kyle O'Reilly leading a split of a faction, which goes back to the Ring of Honor days with Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly had this giant feud and doing it in NXT. But yeah, that was always my thing about Undisputed Era. And yeah, I took your idea for the name of the show, Draped in Gold. But they were heels that wanted to shock the system. But it came to me very apparent they were not shocking the system. They became the system in a good way. I mean, it's we all cheered. I have 2 Undisputed Era shirts, and I bought a little wristband, and they're on the programs, and they were the heels that get cheered. And I think that's the kind of heel indie wrestlers want. Kind of when they want to be a bad, want to be a bad A, but still get cheered, right? So they got that. So here's a chance. Here's a chance to give them the ball. Can they be a unit and be faces and not be corny? That remains to be seen. But yeah, let's talk about his main event. Because Charlene's in the chat. Charlene was one of our friends of the show, saying that Pat McAfee has a bump on his show and NXT does not. Maybe this is a cross-promotion thing, but to your point, Jack, it does seem kind of out of character for the Black and Gold brand to get Pat McAfee involved. Well, McAfee, just Pat McAfee.
It's look, from a promotion standpoint, it's great. I think NXT's gotten more press buzz than ever before based on this. I think it's what's interesting, and again though, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's interesting that it's Pat McAfee who's kind of antagonizing here and not Adam Cole. Adam Cole's kind of like, what are you doing, man? I thought we patched this up. And then Pat McAfee punts Adam Cole while he's being held down. Like, it's weird that, like, I'm cheering for Adam Cole in this situation. Like, Adam, go get him, Tiger. Go get him. By the way, man, did you see Triple H go after Pat McAfee after that? I was like,
yeah.
Dude,
got shoved.
Dude, Triple H comes after me. I am running so fast.
That is my golden goose.
But it feels very main roster to do this, which is why I think it's perfect. I think it's the perfect thing right now, because you just had Adam Cole as the champion for over a year. He just lost the title. Now, what do you do after you just lose the title? Like, you don't want him to go right back after the title, because like we just saw a year-long reign. We want something new. So do we want him to beat up guys lower on the card, below his standard? No.
Well, actual wrestlers will help.
But would you really want to see it like an Adam Cole versus Cameron Grimes
rivalry? Look,
or would you want to see him rehash another Johnny Gargano rivalry or another Tommaso Ciampa rivalry? He's faced everyone that's worth watching him wrestle. This gives him something that is still a buzzworthy headlining rivalry. And this is the biggest thing, Flobo.
No.
This is going to take him to the main roster. This is his exit.
It may. It actually may. I'll give you that. It may send to the main roster. But here's a problem with Pat McAfee. He's a terrible actor. When Cole blew up at his show a couple weeks ago, I thought it was a shoot until he was like, wow, what's his deal? All right. So he comes over and then he antagonizes the other commentators, which I guess is a way of building up the heat. Whatever. And then kicks Adam Cole. So here's your former NXT champion that got bested by some guy who doesn't even wrestle ever on screen. Like, I understand that. That's a spot for a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of guys you can say can be in that spot. And I know pop the ratings as much as you can. But, man, I do not want to sit through a Pat McAfee promo. This isn't heat. This isn't me saying I hate the guy. It's just, I can't believe you for a second you're doing that. I can tell that kick was protected. I can tell you suck at emotions. I can tell that Adam Cole will kill you in a real fight. Why do I want to buy into this?
Well, speaking of when they did the thing on his show, anyone who didn't think it was part of the show is kidding themselves. Come on. It felt so much like a wrestling show. Just watching it, like I didn't even need to Google anything. It was like, oh, this is clearly a part of the show. But
okay, Smark.
by the way, guys, I am so smart and I use industry terms because I'm not a mark. No, but but stupid. But but look, it is entertaining. It's still interesting. You still kind of want to see what happens. You want to see. I think there's a lot of people. I think the average fan, Flobo, you're not the average fan. You're a pundit. That's why you have a show. But
Yeah.
it's the average fan. They want to see Adam Cole get revenge. They want to see the Undisputed Era mess up Pat McAfee now. That's the thing. That's what's important about it. And so that's all that matters. And again, I think this is just a slow, soft. I think it's a soft exit for him, and I think it's a soft exit for the Undisputed Era to break up. And it's a nice, easy way to do it without having some rehashed rivalry or anything like that. I could easily see Kyle O'Reilly saying, why are we focusing on this dude who's got a radio show, which will play right into what you say, and will help them have their rivalry and break up the Undisputed Era in a way that feels natural, but also is entertaining. You get a little mainstream media. Look, if Pat McAfee wanted to be on this show, I'd say let's bring him in, right? Wouldn't you? You wouldn't. Yeah, let's get that media.
Oh yeah,
in.
you'll come to my show. What about Ali of the Week on the Jack Farmer channel? How about that show?
I'd bring him on. In fact, I would go on his show and I would knock over a microphone.
You heard it here first. Jack's a heel. He deserves better. Also, this week in the NXT World, NXT UK had another episode, Best of, with a couple of matches from Toni Storm and Noam Dar, which I thought was pretty interesting for a lot of reasons, because Noam Dar, I always felt he's one of the more cerebral, cunning wrestlers on the roster. If I had those memes where they say you have $30 and make the best roster with the $30.
Yeah,
I definitely think that Noam Dar would be a value pick. Thoughts about the first match, Noam Dar against Kenny Williams? I know you're not the biggest NXT UK fan, but I know that you are dabbling in the arts for this week's show.
Noam Dar, you're right. He's someone who's been around for a while too. Like he's one of those like silently been there for a long time guys. And it's always good to see whenever he has an opportunity to perform. Again, I'm not. This is one of the things I like about the show is going to let me get more involved in the NXT UK stuff, and so this was cool. It's a different style over there, and it's fun to watch.
That was a solid match. I mean, Kenny Williams can go, as you say. But yeah, it's not going to be flashy. Like, the characters there are pretty much all Rich Hollins and Oni Lorkins, or like Bomber Dave Mastiffs or whatnot.
Is that what you want from the maybe? I mean, it's ironic that it'd be the North American title, but if they made that style the North American style, would that be something you'd like to see?
My biggest thing with the North American title division that has never been established of what it is, and it's hard to do that on any promotion. Like, we talk about the IC title being the workhorse belts. We talk about the United States Championship being the equivalent, but has a bit more prestige, historically, more prestige to it until it became a WWE title, and not so much. Even in AEW, the TNT Championship isn't so much like the work rate title as it is the workhorse title, being able to defend it as much as you can. So, like, I never understood it. Like, when Dream had it, I was like, is it for the characters of NXT? When Ricochet had it, is it their X division? I don't know. So, I'll accept anything to answer your question. If that's going to be the Danny Burch title, then fine, but I need a reason.
Is there something about, like, would you accept it as you're not ready for the world title, but you're still someone who has a bright future title?
No, because it's already established. That's already built in. The fact it's not a world championship, it's already understood. If you have a title, then, unless it's 24/7, you know what I mean? You have to give me something else.
So what's the difference? What is the U.S. title?
So the U.S., the U.S. title historically was you have that Intercontinental spot in WCW, right? You're the top of that singles division, the mid card or what have you. You're next in line, and traditionally you have more of a technical. It leans more technical to other people. There's been other guys who doesn't have that same moveset, but that. On the WWE roster, it's basically a placeholder. It is the IC title equivalent. So it doesn't really have an identity anymore. It may change, we don't know. But I'm saying is the North American title is like, 3 years old? 2 years old?
Could the North American title just be the placeholder title?
It could be, but NXT is so small that you have to give me a reason to justify it. It isn't like the WWE where it's 85 people on two brands, You got like 35 guys in NXT. If you're introducing another title, give me a reason. Give me a reason to cheer. Is this going to be X Division? Is it going to be like high rate, open weight kind of thing? Is it more catch as catch can? Maybe time will tell. But of the holes we had, they were kind of all over the place for me.
For whatever it's worth, and this is just a side thing, my favorite gimmick title that had a thing to it. It was that NWA title where if you defended it, I believe it was 8 times in a row, you got a world title shot.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fun way to make every defense matter, and you could have it bounce around. You could have people lose it regularly, and that'd be part of the gimmick. That'd be part of the thing, is that you're supposed to not hold. It's supposed to be hard to hold on to, but then it would make each match that someone has it get continually more interesting. So when someone gets to that, again, I can't remember if it was 5 or 8, but I feel like it was 8. But it was like once you get to like match 6 or 7, then you're like, ooh, is this person going to get a world title shot? That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
I also like the Gift of the Gods title, though it sounds like
Very
it's more
similar.
important than the world title. I feel like to say I'm the Gift of the Gods sounds a little bit more important than the
That's your email signature, Jack. What are you talking about? I'm just saying hello. What's going on? I don't know what the North American title could be. Maybe, not, I won't say hardcore, but maybe if it lends itself to more of the stipulation matches. If there are more ladder match defenses, if there are more last man standing match defense, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. No idea. To me, the crown jewel of today's episode of NXT UK was Toni Storm against Dakota Kai, a pre-injury to Dakota Kai. So I was like cringing every time she landed her knees or did a kick. I was like, what are you doing? If you only knew the future. I had forgotten about Toni Storm's moveset. She ended the match on the Strong Zero as opposed to the Storm Zero, which was the air raid crash neck breaker. And thoughts about that as a finishing maneuver? I'm just curious about your take about that.
The air raid crash?
The air raid crash neck breaker. Like, it's a position, but she lands. It's like an air raid crash, but instead of on your back, like white noise, she puts your neck on her knee, like a backbreaker kind of a thing.
I don't like the neck breaker thing. I don't like people do too many knee things these days. I don't really like them. I'll be honest.
All right,
I would prefer the air raid crash. I prefer to just drop them on their back. But
that was my finishing move in 2K. I changed it from the
onto the neck. No, you had the regular air.
I had air raid crash, but when I did it, Cole kept saying, "What an old school maneuver!" I switched it to the neck breaker. It's like, you know what, Cole? Forget you.
I like old school. No, but I don't like. Because a lot of people do the move. I think AJ does it on the main roster, where like it's kind of like an attitude adjustment, but you do the knee to the neck.
Shikoroshi.
Yeah, like there's a lot of people who do that kind of stuff, and I don't know. I don't hate it, but I'm also kind of like, just slam them. Just drop them. I'm a power move guy. I like power moves. I like spirit bombs. I like people getting slammed. That's what I like, Flobo. I want everyone just to have choke slams and power bombs. That's all I want to see.
So let's talk about the main event then. That tag team match, the Grizzly Young Vets against Andrews and Webster. The way that finished, poor Flash Morgan Webster got destroyed by the GYV. I mean, look, man, we talk about people going to the main roster and looking dope. But there's something about the GYV where I feel like they can slot into any tag team division on the planet. Why is that? Why do I feel that way, Jack? Tell me how I feel a certain way.
They are very. They remind me a bit of the North in the sense, over an Impact, in the sense that they are able to be both like tough, gritty, fighting guys, but also get great on the microphone when they need to, and they're believable. I don't know why. I mean, look, there's a lot of weird things with travel right now. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. If I'm WWE though, I'm bringing those guys over. I'm figuring out a way right now. Bring them back, whether it's to NXT, whether it's to fill up the main roster tag teams or something. Those guys are so talented. You're right. You could slot them into any tag team division in the world, and I've seen some pretty good tag team divisions in the world. I think they would fit in anywhere. They are probably one of the best tag teams going right now, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Sometimes that gets tricky because you're like, well, the New Day's been around for 100 years.
Right.
Well, I mean, okay.
The Lucha Bros are bros.
Let's put them into a legacy category. That doesn't count anymore.
I just want James Drake to talk. It's always weird when he's kind of like, yeah, him grunting every time Zach Gibson goes off in a promo.
It was weird because when they came over for the Dusty Classic, it felt like they were ready to be stars. It felt like they were ready to go.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I guess that's when the travel restrictions kicked in and probably cut that short. But
True.
I would do like Imperium with them, and I'd say, look, we're bringing you guys over. We're going to bring you guys in as a tag team. They need tag teams. Those guys are so talented. You can have them cut promos. You can have them wrestle matches. I think even if they're new to you, they proved it in the Dusty Classic. You can find a way to love them or hate them. They're exactly what you want. I think it's time to move them out of UK and start putting them on US television.
Hell yeah. Because that Zach Gibson, man, has this. I don't know if you noticed in England, is this thing where it's like, if you hate Zach Gibson, take your shoe off. I would love to see that work now, post-pandemic. In Des Moines, Iowa,
Yeah.
Take your shoes off if you hate Zach Gibson. I know Des Moines, right? Ugh.
Why is it? Yeah, I already can tell the floors are sticky. I can already tell. You can already feel the stickiness. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be a fan of that.
Exactly, man. But that's it for us. Thanks you for checking out the premiere episode of Draped in Gold, pilot episode, if you will. I'm gonna go back, watch tape, do some things, experiment with things. But I'm so glad you guys came through to say what's up, Charlene and company. You guys are the reason why we do what we do. Jack Farmer, where can the world find you online, good sir?
You can find me at jackcfarmer.com as well as at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. You can also check me out on the Everything Tournament every Tuesday. You can check me out on Elite of the Week every Wednesday. And you can check me out wherever shows like this let me be a part of them. But anytime you check me out, I'm going to be drinking a cup of Broasters coffee from www.thebroasters.com. Promo code BRO, code 1.
That's what I should have done. Because I started this episode being like, I'll drink some root beer, get my caffeine up. And I realized that most root beers don't have caffeine. And so I made a gross mistake. But my name is Flobo Boyce. You can follow me at Flobo Boyce on Twitter, at Flopito on Instagram, and at Flobo Boyce on Instagram as well. And of course, Flopito.com is the website. The podcast, New Amsterdam Radio, is on every Thursday. The podcast, What's Up Flobo After Hours, is every Monday. And support the homie two ways. By buying a t-shirt at Flopito, that's threadless.com. New Amsterdam has new merch there, and support bonus content at patreon.com/FloboBoys. But until next time, you know the deal. Peace out.